Football is back, and BetMGM is inviting new customers to join the huddle and enjoy the action like never before. Sign up today using bonus code CHAMPION, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. You'll also have instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, player props, and boosted odds specials. Just download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and enter bonus code CHAMPION and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. The BetMGM app is the perfect way to experience the excitement of wagering on live sports, now in more markets than ever. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Virginia only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-532-3500.
Stop the hacks. Stop the attacks. Stop the attacks and start taking your IT career to the next level. The Masters in Cybersecurity from Stevenson University Online can keep you one step ahead of the criminals and one step ahead of career advancement. Complete your online degree in as little as 18 months with convenient and affordable classes. Stevenson University Online, your partner for professional success. Visit stevenson.edu/cyberwar.
Take me to your leader, because the Tennis Podcast has landed on Earth. Hi, I'm Nick Amell. This is the show where every week, myself or my sidekick host bring a top tennis list, along with fun facts and trivia. The list is usually fact-based. The other person tries to guess all tennis items on the list in real time with no prior chance to prepare. Today, my guest sidekick host is UFO expert Rob Kristoffersen from the podcast Our Strange Skies. Rob, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for inviting me on. I remember, I think it was a couple years ago, I gave you guys a list and you used it. So it feels good to be on here.
I was going to mention that, yeah. If the listeners recognize the name Rob or the name Our Strange Skies, it's because Rob, I looked it up, episode 76 was the top 10 most credible close encounters. And that list was provided, the research and the ranking by Rob here. So thank you for that. And now, finally, I think that was like 2019.
Yep.
Yeah, you're here now. Tell me, have you been probed at all today?
No, it's been a fairly even-keeled day. Nothing weird has happened, which I'm fine with. If we can keep it on the level, you know, and like not get abducted during this recording, be great. I'd appreciate that, aliens.
That's a tall order. That's asking a lot, I think, of the universe. Rob, we're going to let you do kind of a plug for Our Strange Skies later, but for now, can you just tell the listeners, kind of let them know who you are? What is your resume in this field of UFO research?
So, when it comes to UFOs, and you want to really dive into what they are, half the time, most people will have an experience, and it sends them on their way. And that's what happened to me. In 2015, I had a UFO experience while I was at work, and then I just got my hands on a lot of books, and I just became like this guy that knows a lot about UFOs. It's consumed my life, really. It's consumed my life, and I'll never get it back, but that's fine. But
so in a way, they have abducted you, in a way.
Yes. They have. They've abducted my interests, my brain, my money, like everything. They've infiltrated all sectors of my life. So the only thing left is like my body at this point.
Your asshole. Let's just call it like what it is. But we're going to get into weird shit today, because when you have a UFO expert on the show, you're going to talk about... Well, actually, you know what? Before I get to that, let me take a step back. You clearly believe in UFOs, close encounters. What is your stance on ancient civilizations, the ancient aliens theory, essentially? Where do you stand on that?
I'm not the biggest proponent of it. And the thing is like, I think a lot of people think that this theory's been around since the TV show, but it goes back to about the 1920s. But like, I'm not a fan of, let's say the von Däniken method, which is basically to look at old structures and just say, oh, aliens helped build that. I'm not a fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are, recorded incidents of people seeing weird lights in the sky, and maybe they're natural phenomenon, maybe they're not. But in terms of the whole ancient aliens thing, it's not great. It's not great. And, like, it discounts, like, ancient peoples and how amazing they were. So, yeah, it's a problematic kind of subject.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we could cover a problematic subject today. But before I reveal the list, I have mixed feelings on the theory.
Mm-hmm.
I'll save my thoughts, but I have mixed feelings. I've always been fascinated by it, whether or not I believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked on my Twitter, @TheNickAmel, I asked my followers, do you believe that intelligent life from other planets have had a hand in the construction of any ancient structures, such as the pyramids? I have 74% no as the result to that. 26% yes. I knew that most people wouldn't believe in it, but I'm a little surprised it's 75 to 25%. Does that surprise you at all?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's good that the show really hasn't corrupted as many minds as I thought it would have at this point. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, well, that's okay, because we are here to corrupt those minds in different ways. So 74% of my followers, at least, don't believe that aliens or intelligent life had any hand in ancient structures. Rob doesn't think the theory has much ground, but I'm still going to make you talk about it for the next hour-ish anyway, because today we're talking about the top 7 ancient sites, ancient structures, most maybe built by aliens.
Okay.
I know that your expertise is more on the UFO side and the abduction side, but we've done those, so I wanted to do something different. Today, this list comes from National Geographic. It's ranked by the hardest to explain technological feats in construction.
Interesting.
Now,
okay.
I want you and the listeners to take note that just because we're covering this list does not mean I believe everything we're going to cover on this list. I just think it's fascinating to talk about.
Yeah.
I also pulled some notes from Insider.com, History.com, and of course, Wikipedia. Let me go a little more into what this list is. It's from National Geographic, like I said. Planet Earth is home to some spectacular relics from bygone eras, constructions that seem to defy the technological capabilities of their time, either because they're too big, too heavy, or too complex. As such, some suggest the ancient builders of the Egyptian pyramids, for example, were following an extraterrestrial instruction manual. Perhaps the hands that crafted these sites weren't really of this world. Now, I do take issue with them saying there's an instruction manual because that seems far-fetched.
A little bit.
I have an easier time believing that aliens were down here helping humans than I do believing there was an instruction manual in the time of the pyramids. Although I guess there kind of was in a way. Not an instruction manual, but an account.
Well, I mean, you've got hieroglyphics on, certain walls that kind of show how they moved these big blocks and stuff like that. So, yeah, like, there is kind of an instruction manual, but not really. Like, I can only imagine, like, what the IKEA version of that would be in ancient Egypt, and I don't even think they could handle it.
The IKEA instruction manual. Oh, fuck, just kill me.
Yeah.
If I was building the pyramids, life's already rough. I'm probably a slave or very low on the social totem pole, and I'm having to build this pyramid of no choice of my own, hard labor, and I finally get there on day one. I'm like, okay, I got to make the best of this. My life sucks, but I'm going to make the best of it. And then they start handing out the IKEA instruction manuals for these things.
Yeah.
I'm out.
No. Done.
I'm out. Do whatever you got to do to me and my family, but I'm not doing it.
Right. Like, I assume I know how to read, but, like, we know that given the IKEA model, the IKEA brand, nobody knows how to read at that point. It's just not possible.
No, exactly. Though that was written by other life forms, I think.
I firmly believe that IKEA is run by aliens. Absolutely.
I'm of the default opinion that any business anywhere is run by aliens, and it's up to them to prove me otherwise. Right?
That's fair. That's a fair assumption.
Well, speaking of fair assumptions, this list is assuming that things that are hard to explain. The pyramids I've mentioned a few times, so we'll use them as an example. How do you explain the construction of those? No one really knows the full story, although we have clues. And so many ancient alien believers will point to those and say, well, here's why it was alien influenced, if not built. But I'm going to break down the top 7, and then we'll also explain both sides. The signs pointing to alien intervention and the signs pointing to a completely earthly build. A little bit more about the ancient alien theory. Ancient astronauts or ancient aliens refers to a pseudo-scientific hypothesis which holds that intelligent extraterrestrial beings visited Earth and made contacts with humans in prehistoric times. Proponents suggest that this contact influenced the development of modern cultures, technologies, religions, and human biology. And a common position is that deities from most, if not all, religions are extraterrestrial in origin, and that advanced technologies brought to Earth by ancient astronauts were interpreted as evidence of divine status by early humans. That is a recurring theme in the structures we're going to talk about. Most of them have religious influence, but was it really the gods or was it E.T.? We're going to find out today.
So we are actually going to solve this, like right here, right now. We're just going to solve this entire thing. Yeah.
For those listening, forward this podcast link to your step uncle at NASA and every other official organization you know. Let them know Rob and Nick have cracked the case.
We've done it.
So I don't know if you'll get all 7 of these without hints, but maybe you'll impress me. When I say ancient aliens and ancient alien construction, for lack of a better word, what's one of the first places that comes to mind?
I think one that is relatively new that people talk about a lot is Göbekli Tepe, because like it's old. Nobody really knows a whole heck of a lot about what's going on there. They kind of have some idea, but not a lot. They're still learning more and more about that.
That's a good guess. It's not on here, though, believe it or not.
Dang it.
So immediately your expertise is being called into question, but no pressure.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think the default here is Puma Punku. That would be because they talk about that all the time. Like, I've seen enough episodes of Ancient Aliens to know how much Puma Punku comes up, like, often. But again, this isn't like Ancient Aliens. This is National Geographic, so like they might have different standards.
They have an editorial standard to live up to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on the list. Say the name again.
Puma Punku.
Poo-poo? Pukin? Okay.
Wow, I'm striking out here.
Yeah. Let's knock out one that I've already mentioned a few times.
Well,
pyramids,
I mean, yeah,
right?
the pyramids, of Giza. Yeah.
Probably the most go-to example, I'd say.
Right, because it's just like they pretty much kind of know how they were built. They can't get the timetable right. I think that's the main problem is they can't fit it into the timetable that they believe that they were built in.
Right. And even taking the timetable question aside, it is a magnificent feat of human accomplishment in any time period. Today, it would be an accomplishment. But before modern, well, let's just get into it. The Egyptian pyramids is number 5 on this list. Essentially, you could think of that as the 5th hardest to explain on the planet as far as humans doing this. It's in Egypt, and if you don't know that, then you got a problem. It was built in the 2600s BC. Sources cite at least 118 identified Egyptian pyramids, most built as tombs for pharaohs and their consorts. The most famous are those found at Giza on the outskirts of Cairo. Several of the Giza pyramids are counted among the largest structures ever built. So these were built over 2,500 years ago, and they still stand as some of the tallest structures ever built. Mm-hmm. And I believe they're the only thing on the 7 Wonders of Earth that are still standing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you gotta give it up to really good construction there. Like, they nailed the architecture. They're like, hey, pyramids, we know they'll last. And I think the most deceptive thing about those pyramids is, like, everybody's like, no, they're 4-sided. No, they're 8-sided. So there, or at least the Great Pyramid is not 4-sided.
8-sided.
It's 8-sided. Yes.
Okay. I guess I didn't realize that.
When you look at it from an aerial view, you'll notice that, like, the sides are kind of indented a little bit. So,
yeah, I mean, it's dominantly four-sided, as in like
Mm-hmm.
95% of the structure is on four sides, but you're right, there is kind of a little like angle at each corner that makes it eight-sided. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this fucking thing's amazing. And how did they do it? Constructing the pyramids involved moving huge quantities of stone. While most blocks came from nearby quarries, special stones were transported on great barges from distant locations. For instance, white limestone from Tura and granite from Aswan. And going back to the discussion we had earlier where, okay, I'm a slave, I'm being forced to build this pyramid. Luckily, in reality, there were no IKEA instruction manuals handed out. But I'm sitting there, I'm ready on day one to work, and they tell me, okay, everyone gets started, and we're looking around going, well, where's the stones to start building this thing? And they go, oh, no. You got to walk however many miles away to get the stone and then bring it back here.
Right.
Like, just the effort to put this thing together is huge. But of course, the people that ordered this pyramid be made, it's no skin off their back. Who cares?
Right.
We want what we want, and whatever the cost is.
What was the mental health status of people in the ancient world? I have to wonder, because at a task like that, some guy wants this giant pyramid built. Yeah, it's just like, I don't think I can handle that. But especially for a project that's supposed to take like decades to build.
Right.
First and foremost, that's commitment right there, because I can barely commit to getting up on time. So I got to commend them for that. The labor is, I think, a big thing of it, like population-wise of Egypt. A lot of people, I think, get hung up on that particular aspect. There was probably enough population there, but...
Oh, you're saying that there might not have been enough people to actually build this thing at the time?
That's one of the theories that I remember.
So it was aliens, is what you're saying.
The
aliens filled out the ranks.
They must have. They really must. But here's the thing. If we're going... What kind of aliens are we going with? Are we going with the gray aliens? Because if we're going with the gray aliens, do you think those guys are lifting blocks? Do you think they're moving blocks at all? Like,
no,
sans alien technology. Sans alien technology. Are those guys lifting stones? No.
No. But if the aliens are coming to Earth to help humans build these things, then we have to assume that they're using their technological advancements to make that happen, right? They're not lifting a fucking finger, but they are saying, here's that IKEA instruction manual again, like we keep saying. Or they had some beams to transport these, stones that weighed however many tons to...
Right.
That's the thing, because, and I'm going to get into it here in a second, but like moving these stones, like, I guess was probably possible. I mean, it had to have been possible. But just the amount of time and man hours it took to move one stone, and there's, I don't know, at least thousands of stones in this thing.
Right.
And I'm jumping around a bit, but you mentioned commitment. It's commitment on a bunch of fronts, because it's the commitment of the rulers having this thing built, because it's very likely they're not even going to be alive to see the end of it. They're building it for future generations. And same with the people building it. Oh, this sucks. I gotta do manual labor to build this thing. But usually when you say that, it's like, well, it's going to be amazing at the end and I'll see the fruits of my labor. But in this case, no, your ass is going to die a terrible death and your grandchildren's grandchildren are going to be the ones finishing this thing. Maybe not that long, but yeah. So it's commitment on a lot of fronts where you're not even seeing the final product in a lot of cases.
My argument to that would be that I think the popular misconception is that Egypt has like 3 pyramids. And in reality, they have like over 100, like hundreds
118.
of them. Yes, they have a lot. This is like a tradition that they've, had for a long time. Like architecture is their thing, not only pyramids, but like, they're building aqueducts that are amazing. The Sphinx, they're innovators when it comes to architecture and engineering and such like that. They're one of the most advanced cultures on the planet. Even by today's standards, I would say...
Even today, yeah.
Yeah, they're on par. So to say that, it's tough. I rack my brain over this every day. Get up and
it is tough, Rob.
Aliens. They had to have.
Aliens is the kind of like... It's the easiest answer. It's the easiest explanation.
Right.
On some respects. And so let's talk a little bit more about the construction. How exactly did these Egyptians, 2,500 plus years ago, Captain Obvious here, but there was no internet.
Right.
There's no electricity. There's no like construction vehicles. How did they do this? And the Great Pyramid is made of, and this is just the Great Pyramid, not to mention the hundreds of others, like you said. The Great Pyramid is made of millions of precisely hewn stones weighing at least 2 tons each. Even with today's cranes and other construction equipment, building a pyramid as big as that would be a formidable challenge. And then there's the astronomical configuration of the pyramids, which is said to align with the stars of Orion's belt. As well, alien theorists often point to the fact that these 3 pyramids are in way better shape than others built centuries later, never mind the amount of work that has gone into preserving them over the past several centuries. And in fact, some argue that as with the pyramids, aliens must have helped the ancient Bolivian people in their architectural pursuits. So, wise guy, Mr. Ancient Alien Denier, what do you have to say to all that?
It's a theory. It's a theory.
It's a theory. Thanks for that expert insight. So these stones, they don't only weigh 2 tons each, but they also include intricate decoration and stonework, and it is unknown how this was achieved given the limited technology believed to have existed at the time. While it's true, scientists aren't quite sure how the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids, and especially how they did it so quickly, to your timeline point. There is ample evidence that these tombs are the work of thousands of earthly hands. Most of the construction hypotheses are based on the belief that huge stones were carved from quarries with copper chisels, and these blocks were then dragged and lifted into position. Now, like, all kidding aside, I don't believe aliens had a hand in this. I don't completely rule it out, but it seems unlikely.
Right.
But dragging the stones into place is one thing, but how the fuck did they lift them up? Like, you know, how did they lift them into position?
I've seen the way that, like, kind of like models and like kind of like really intensive like winches and stuff like that they had, but like you bring them up that like kind of little like incline that you have going up and up and up in this pyramid, and
it kind of does have an incline in the shape of it. Yeah,
like if you watch any like kind of shows about this, and you see like kind of I call it like the road that they build to get the blocks up there. Like it's really just kind of like a large ramp that they used, and like the way in which they transported them. Like I know there's like some stone, like some kind of like hieroglyphs that show big stone on like a flatbed, and in front of it they're pouring water to help hold it easier. And while that is a pain in the butt, what I will say is like the standards of construction were a lot different back then than they are now. Like like back then you had a bunch of guys doing all of this. Now, if you watch any construction project, there's like 5 of them standing down there doing nothing. So I think that Egyptians were more efficient with their labor force, if anything.
That's fair to say. You know, it's funny, we talked a little bit about how these are still standing, and they're 2,500 plus years old. There's some of the oldest structures still standing on Earth.
Yeah.
But, like, I just moved into a new house this year, and there's already issues in the house. The construction is better on this ancient pyramid than it is on my modern house. So.
Yeah, it's kind of the perfect design structure. Like it's insane how well a pyramid holds up, and why you kind of find them all over the world. You know, not just in Egypt, but in South America.
Right. Egypt is the most well-known, but there are pyramids elsewhere, which some would point to and say, well, of course, the aliens were telling more than one civilization how to build these things.
Exactly.
Now, I want to take a step back. Rob, you are clearly not a huge proponent of the ancient alien theory, but let's say it is real. Like, what is the alien race's motivation for helping humans do this 2,500 years ago?
Man, that is the kicker, right? Like, are these people interested in our development in some way? Because that's pretty, you know, noble of an alien species to come to Earth and be like, you look like you could use some help here. Why don't we just give you a hand here? Like, and realistically, we've done a really great job. You know, we've designed the atomic bomb, the nuclear bomb, and, you know, like, Some
Yes, all
believe
these
it's
things that destroy the
yeah.
Earth.
So like, if they did come to help us along, they did a really terrible job. I actually regret them showing up if they did, because
Wow.
like, things are not
Well, you're
great.
definitely getting abducted now.
Yeah, like it's happening. It's just happening now.
Knock on the door, and it's the Greys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is interesting, and like in a world where this is true and ancient aliens help the development of the human race, that means that there's still a payoff for them somewhere down the road, right? They're waiting for us to get to a certain point before they return or before they do X, Y, Z, and we don't know what that is.
Exactly. And like the thing is like when you're talking about like kind of modern UFO and like close encounter cases, and you compare it to the ancient aliens myth, there's kind of a lot of crossover, because there's a lot of people that think like the close encounters of the 50s, 60s, and 70s were kind of there to serve as a what's the way to put it? Kind of like things appearing to kind of make you challenge the nature of the reality in which you live in. So like there's kind of a little
Yeah.
crossover there. It's like, hey, we're going to develop you a little bit in our own way. We're going to show up. We're going to show ourselves to you and just be like, hey, that's weird, but things exist outside your own reality. So there is some crossover there, except one's like a more spiritual development, while the other one is literally, let me help you build things.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think we got it. We didn't need the aliens. We got it.
But did we got it? Because if all these ancient structures are the work of aliens, then we wouldn't be where we are today without them.
Like,
if they're real.
Did aliens work with drywall? I don't know. But
no. Probably not, but we don't know.
Right.
That's why we're here to talk about it.
Right.
Do you like candy?
Do you like candy?
Do you like candy?
If you answered yes to any of the above questions, then Candy is Dandy is the right podcast for you.
Candy is Dandy is the world's only candy review podcast.
And we know that because we looked as deep as the third O in a Google search.
Every first and third Wednesday of the month, we pick a different candy, give you its history, taste it live, and review it and rate it.
We've tried candies such as Snickers,
Butterfingers,
Jelly Belly Jelly Beans,
and we've had a cavalcade of celebrity guests such as the Three Musketeers,
Bazooka Joe,
and Comedy Bang Bang's Carl Tart.
So download and subscribe to Candy is Dandy anywhere podcasts are found.
This episode is brought to you by Smart Food, the sweet, salty snack you need this holiday season. Air Pop Popcorn, tossed in delicious white cheddar cheese, or mixed with sweet caramel and cheddar. It's the perfect snack for your smart holiday party. Shop now at snacks.com.
All right, well, let's get back to the list. So that was number 5, the pyramids. There's other very famous, well-known ancient sites that are unexplained.
Okay. Machu Picchu? I don't know.
Machu Picchu? No, that's a good guess. I saw other lists when I was doing research on this before I landed on the National Geographic list. I saw others that had Machu Picchu listed, but our list today does not.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to need some hints probably.
All right. Think about an island.
Oh, okay. Easter Island. I'm thinking Easter Island. Yeah.
Come on. Of course that has to be on there.
Yeah.
And that's number 2. Pyramids were 5, Easter Islands 2. I think this one's easier to explain than the pyramids, just because the vast amount of work that went into pyramids versus this. Not that this didn't have work, but you know what I mean. Pyramids are just bigger in scale and all that. But let's get into it. It's located off Chile, and it was built between 1250 and 1500, so much more recent than the pyramids. The enigma surrounding the Moai, Easter Island's fleet of large stone figures, pretty much follow the same narrative as the other sites described here. How in the world did the Rapa Nui make these figures more than 1,000 years ago? And how did the Moai end up on Easter Island? So if you're listening and everyone's seen Easter Island, but if you need a refresher, check the show notes. There's going to be a link to images of every site we talk about. But it's the giant stone faces on this island. They're carved from stone, and there's nearly 900 of them sprinkled along the flanks of the island's extinct volcanoes. The tallest one is called Paro, It's almost 33 feet high, or 10 meters, and it weighed 80.7 tons. So 80 tons for one fucking stone. And if you remember the Egyptian pyramid of Giza, the stones were about 2 tons each. So these are 80. The figures average 13 feet tall and weigh 14 tons and appear to have been chiseled from the soft volcanic tuff found in the Raraku Quarry. There, more than 400 statues are still in various states of construction, with some completed figures awaiting transportation that never came before they finished. So, Rob, tell me why there's no other explanation for Easter Island other than aliens.
Why would you construct a lot of these?
Just a bunch of faces?
Just a bunch of faces. And I mean, like, give them their acting credits. They made an appearance in the first night at the museum movie, so...
Oh, yeah.
There is a level of
what
fame there.
What an obscure reference you just pulled out. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, it's just like, there are so many of them on that island. Why? And I think
because it's beyond our understanding, Rob. There's a greater alien mission at work here that we're not privy to.
Right, and I think like the popular consensus is like they abandoned the island. I can't remember exactly. I don't know if they completely abandoned the island due to like...
I have a note on that.
No, okay.
It says that the reasons for carving the moai are mysterious, though likely for religious or ritual reasons, and it's not exactly clear what happened to the stone crafting Rapa Nui, but a leading theory suggests their civilization succumbed to an environmental disaster of their own making, whatever that means.
Right, I think it was Jared Diamond, who's a historian, that suggested that.
Listener of the show?
Yeah, I think it was Dustin Diamond of Saved by the Bell that actually suggested.
Dustin Diamond, wow.
No, yeah. So...
I knew he had kind of branched out in his career into a bunch of different avenues, but I did not realize alien history was one as well.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, Jared Diamond is, he's famous for writing a book called Guns, Germs, and Steel. And he kind of has like some like off the wall kind of theories and stuff like that on certain things. And I know one of the criticisms that he had of the Moai is that due to all this destruction, they basically like they had problems getting food and stuff like that.
Like they took their eye off the food ball because they were too distracted carving 1,000 fucking identical faces on a on an island that didn't ask for the faces.
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess they're not identical, but similar.
No, but they are of a similar kind of look. But like, there's like, I think that one like really huge one that just kind of like everybody just looks at and associates with Easter Island. Like it's the same one. And like that dude looks stoic as hell, and I dig it. Stone-faced, literally stone-faced.
There's no arguing that he's stone-faced, but he also looks like he's got his shit together, and there's nothing you can say that's going to faze him, right?
You don't want to pick a fight with this individual because...
Because he's 80 fucking tons, maybe?
Yeah, and you don't know where his feet are, really.
True. They're about to be broken off inside your ass if you pick a fight.
Exactly.
It's not exactly known how the moai were moved across the island. Again, the largest stone's 80 tons. The island was largely treeless by the time the statues were constructed, and the implication there is it's not like they could build rollers with trees or any other apparatus using trees that usually you'd
Actually,
expect.
I do believe I know how they moved them because I've seen videos of people doing it. And the way in which they did it is they had ropes on either side, and they essentially walked the statue itself into place.
I have a note on that. It says that they harnessed ropes from two sides and made them to walk by tilting them from side to side while pulling forward.
Yep.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, but these are some big-ass rocks. Now, something besides the construction that caught my eye. Tell me if you've heard of this. So there are carvings of a bird man throughout the island.
Mm-hmm.
The figure of a half bird and half man was the symbol of the Matatoa, the distinct character connected to the sacred site of Orongo. The new cult prompted battles of tribes over worship of ancestry, and some have pointed to these birdman carvings as interpretation of ancient aliens.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a million possible explanations.
You could point to anything and say, hey, that's an alien. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't think it's on this list, but I was watching Ancient Aliens one time, the TV show, and they showed this structure again. I can't remember which one, but there were carvings in it, and one of the carvings looked exactly like a spaceship, and like right next to it was the carving that looked exactly like a man with a astronaut helmet on.
Yeah.
So, again, sure there's explanations for that, but it is interesting that those two things carved side by side, you know, when...
Yeah, it's very strange. I agree.
Yeah. Just like you and I.
Yes.
All right, so you have pyramids at 5, Easter Island at 2.
2.
Now, there's another kind of gimme on this list that I think the average person would name as a possible site. It's number 4.
It's number 4.
It also involves large stones.
It also involves large stones.
It has the word stone in the name, in fact.
Wait, really? Stonehenge?
What's wrong with Stonehenge?
I don't think it's as mysterious as people make it out to be.
Whoa. This is a hot take.
Like, because I took an archaeology class in college, and there was a chapter in the book literally dedicated to Stonehenge and how
Mr. Smart Guy over here, everyone, watch out. He took a college class.
it went through kind of like multiple phases, but like it was kind of believed to be for observing the stars, kind of like a planetarium in a way, or like a an observation. But like, I don't think it's as mysterious. I'm just gonna go full ham on this list and say I don't think it's as mysterious as people make it out to be. I think this is how they strike back at the people that say, "Oh, Ancient Aliens is racist," and I'm like, yeah, it is to a certain extent, but
to an extent, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because like the thing is like they never mention like European structures or anything like that because they know how they were built, but everything else is just mystery.
It is because these ancient structures they're talking about are predate written history and things like that. So, yeah, like you said, we know how we know how all the European structures were built.
Right.
And America, of course. But we don't have all the deets on how Stonehenge was made. As much as you underplay it as it deserving a spot on this list, we'll let the listeners decide. This is in Salisbury, England. Stonehenge is at number 4. It was built between 3 and 2000 BC, so these actually predate, well, at least the beginning of it predates the Pyramid of Giza. A huge circle of stones, some weighing as much as 50 tons, sits in the English countryside outside Salisbury. The whole monument, now ruinous, is aligned toward the sunrise on the summer solstice. It is one of the most famous landmarks in the United Kingdom, and it is regarded as a British cultural icon. Could have been a burial ground from its earliest beginnings. Pause there. I think Stonehenge being on this list is less about the how and more about the why.
Right.
I think the how is a little more understood, but the why has always been in contention.
Okay. I just don't know if it's list worthy at this point. I'm still turning heel on this list for including it. Like, sure, you can say, "Oh, we don't know what it was used for." Sure.
Wow. Well, what do you want? The Eiffel Tower to be on here, Rob? Maybe we could put the Empire State Building on here. Were those ancient? Were those aliens?
Are they ancient enough? It's tough to say,
they don't
but
have
like,
to be ancient.
I'm just saying, I have criticisms of the list. That's all.
Well, as a reminder, I did not construct the list.
That's fair.
As I know you know, but
yes.
but aliens did help me construct the list.
Yes,
in fact. Okay, so deposits containing human bone date back from as early as 3000 BC when the ditch and banks were first dug, and continued for at least another 500 years. Stonehenge evolved in several construction phases spanning at least 1,500 years. Like 1,500 years, that's such a long time. And I want to pause, and I don't mean to keep harping on this, but it's like the big takeaway for me from doing the research for this is like, life fucking sucks for everybody. Back in these days. 3000, 2000 BC, there's no running water. We're dying at age 20 from like simple diseases. Getting water and food is a daily struggle and challenge. So let's just all chill when we have free time, not build these monuments that take 1,500 years to finish and kill our workforce.
Kind of going home point when it comes to like the hunter-gatherer kind of lifestyle taking over where yeah, you're hunting, and that is a dangerous kind of thing, depending upon the wild game that you're going for. But, like, you're not hunting every day because you can supplement your diet by fishing if you're near water and, gathering and stuff. And like, when it comes to agriculture and the birth of agriculture, people have way too much time on their hands. So they got to do something. So naturally they have to build things and make people wonder what they were for. But like, I have this distinct image in my head in this textbook of like the 3 different kind of like structural styles at Stonehenge, and like showing like almost like an enclosed building and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, I guess the why is mysterious, but I think it probably serves a more mundane purpose than people would probably like to admit. So like on that base level of mysteriousness, as we
like
don't
the burial
know
ground.
what this, yeah, exactly, like that base level. And not only that, like I'm pretty sure ancient peoples reuse their land for different purposes at different times. So like at one point it may have been a burial ground, and then hey, we repurposed it for this, repurposed it for that. Like, not to say that it,
well, they did have 1,500 years of they did have 1,500 years of building this thing where, from generation to generation they could change their mind on why and how to use it.
Yeah.
Well, as we've discussed, Stonehenge was produced by a culture that left no written records. So many aspects of Stonehenge, such as how it was built or why, remain subject to debate. Swiss author Erich von Däniken, are you familiar?
Oh, I know who that son of a bitch is.
Oh no! Well, yeah, he's a big-time ancient alien guy.
Yeah.
He suggests that Stonehenge was a model of the solar system that also functioned as an alien landing pad. After all, how else could those massive stones have ended up hundreds of miles from their home quarry? Hundreds of miles, goddamn.
Yeah.
But according to 12th century writer Geoffrey of Monmouth, whose tale of King Arthur and mythical account of English history were considered factual well into the Middle Ages, Stonehenge is actually not the work of aliens, but the handiwork of the wizard Merlin.
Yes, old Merlin. Yes, I've heard this theory many a times, that Merlin was the real dude, and like he built this himself using magic and stuff. Yeah, I've heard that before too.
Of course, yeah. You question that? Seems pretty airtight to me.
No, I don't. I understand Merlin's credentials. I understand what he did for King Arthur. He did a lot for him. I remember, I saw the Sword in the Stone as a kid. I know what he's capable of. I know what he could do.
Oh, the Sword in the Stone, yeah. Of course. Classic. No one talks about that movie anymore, You notice that?
It's still a great movie.
Yeah.
Y'all
it was one of my favorites.
Go watch it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, with generous help from your host, you have gotten number 5.
I think I have one, though.
Okay.
And I can't remember the Nazca lines. Nazca lines have to be on
Nazca lines. You got it, bro. Number 6 is the Nazca lines. Right behind the pyramid. This is in the Nazca Desert in southern Peru, built between 500 BC and 500 CE. Now, this is one I did not know much about until I did this research, but it's fascinating. So this is on a high and dry plateau some 200 miles southeast of Lima, Peru. More than 800 long, straight white lines are etched into the Peruvian desert, seemingly at random. Or are they? Joining them are 300 geometric shapes and 70 figures of animals, including a spider, a monkey, and a hummingbird. So this was no small feat. This took a lot of time. The longest of those white lines run straight as an arrow for miles. The biggest shapes stretch nearly 1,200 feet across and are best viewed from the air, which is the key point of this thing. But more on that in a second. Because of its isolation and dry, windless, stable climate, the lines have been mostly preserved naturally for over 1,000 years. So how would they know to build in such a perfect spot without alien intervention, Robin?
It's a great question, and it honestly seems like a thankless job, because when you go out and you look out there, and it's like, who would want to land out here anyway? It's pretty isolated. Like, it's a large area with a lot of stuff going on, and von Däniken's like, oh, this is an alien landing strip. Well, why do they need a landing strip? A long runway? Do you assume that they have wheels on those things? Like, if they are using airplane technology, they did not get here from another planet.
That's true. I hadn't really considered that. But it's also possible that they needed, I mean, like a runway is how we understand it, but they could have other uses, right? Like, I don't know. We don't know.
Right. It's very true. The one thing that I always point to in this situation is like, aside from the large figure of the man that they say looks like an alien, which when you look around and you look at a lot of the figures, like there's a hummingbird that's like really intricately done and other shapes, and you see this like one figure which I think is like on the side of a hill or a mountain or something like that, and he kind of looks like,
he does kind of look like an alien.
Yeah, that's automatically go to for an alien. But if I recall correctly, one of the theories that somebody put forth is that they had hot air balloons. I'm not joking. There was one guy who put a theory forth that they had hot air balloons at one point. Don't know how true that is, but I agree. It's weird to make all of these shapes just like in a desert area
in a desert.
Right, which kind of makes you feel like, well, is this like kind of some spiritual journey that these people are going on, and like they do in fact like, walk these lines as kind of like a spiritual journey or experience or whatever.
Walk the line? Are you saying Johnny Cash was out there?
Yeah, Johnny Cash was totally out there. Didn't you know he based the song on those lines? To be fair, Johnny Cash didn't write the song, his future wife did. Well, she penned the phrase.
Well, fortunately, this isn't a Johnny Cash podcast, so
That's
we
fair.
will mercifully move
fair.
on. But I do think, we haven't even touched on the most fascinating part of the Nazca lines. And by the way, if you're listening, look at the pictures, because what I'm about to say will mean more to you if you are looking at a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Scientists suspect that the Nazca drawings are as many as 2 millennia old, and because of their age, size, and visibility from above, the lines are often cited as one of the best examples of alien handiwork. The scale of these markings makes them clearly visible from the air, leading some alien believers to speculate that they must be the work of otherworldly figures. After all, how could ancient man craft lines with this level of symmetry and precision without the ability to fly? Because when you're looking at, and maybe this goes to what you're saying about the hot air balloon, but when you're looking at these lines, if you're on the ground looking at the lines, they really don't look like anything. But you have to be up in the air looking at them from an aerial viewpoint in order to see the shapes of the spiders and the man and everything else that they make. So why and how?
Right.
That's what I think is most interesting, is like, okay, like I think it's the work of humans. Makes sense that it's the work of humans. But how did they know how to make these shapes when they could never get an aerial viewpoint? And furthermore, why would they give a fuck about making these look good for an aerial viewpoint when, as far as they knew, no one would ever be getting an aerial viewpoint?
Right.
These are questions.
Yeah. These are the tough questions here, folks, because also at the same time, if like, given modern UFO accounts and stuff like that, and people talking about alien abductions, the aliens know how to find them, so why would they need these? They know how to find these people. They've got this advanced technology.
Well, I think the people that made the Nazca lines are trying to appease their new gods, which is the aliens.
Maybe, you never know. Kind of like a cargo cult kind of situation where you'll make artificial structures to kind of get them back, kind of like we saw with some cultures in the Pacific and the Philippines when they were doing their island hopping campaigns, and allegedly there were some tribes on some islands in which they landed in where Americans gave them food and stuff and they wanted them to come back, so they made like mock airplanes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense, and that would be a point in the This Was Aliens column, right?
Maybe.
For the Nazca lines?
Yeah, I guess it depends, because like they're making a mock airplane, which is something that they'd never seen before, and stuff like that. There's really nothing in the Nazca lines to say that there is anything there that they've never seen before. But hey, like if you want them to see a reminder, it's like, hey, remember the place that has spiders, hummingbirds, and weird men on the hill? That's this place. Land here. Maybe.
In this part of the world, would they have even seen hummingbirds and stuff?
Yeah, I do believe that there are hummingbirds in that area. Like, I don't think that there's anything in the Nazca lines that isn't indigenous
that
to...
isn't like Yeah.
Right. Yeah, spider. They get big spiders down there. Monkey, hummingbird, human.
Mm-hmm. Human, you say. You say human, I say alien man.
Yeah, it's tough because, like, yeah, that head on that alien looks weird. Looks very weird.
Yeah, well, the eyes are big.
Yeah, they're huge.
So your friend, listener of the show, Eric Von, how do you say his name? Daniken? That's how it's spelled. Daniken.
Yeah.
He wrote in his 1968 book, Chariots of the Gods, ? He wrote in that book that his beliefs about the sites such as the Nazca Lines could be explained the origins of religions as reactions of ancient people when they came into contact with an alien race. His theory that these mysterious lines were actually used as landing sites for UFOs, we talked about that. He theorized that the shapes and lines were made by aliens and were created to help steer the spaceships as well as work as landing pads. Just seems, like you said, it just seems like unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
But he also claimed that the patterns at this site looked very similar to modern airport and used this as evidence that proved the aliens used this area as a landing place.
Mm-hmm.
So neither of us were there. If you were there during the building of the Nazca Lines, that would be news.
Yes.
I don't think you were there, though. I was not there.
Nope.
So we don't know. But it seems unlikely that an advanced alien species would need hummingbirds and other shit to guide their flying adventures.
No. If you're aliens making the trek here, you gotta have, like, the modern technology there. Like, they could find just about anybody anywhere. Like, so many UFO accounts of people encountering, like, aliens on backcountry roads. Clearly, their GPS is a lot better than they're given credit for.
Do you think that the aliens that for sure came back during ancient times and helped build stuff like the Nazca Lines, do you think they're looking back now and kicking themselves, being like, we should have just waited 2,000 years because now we're missing out on the in and out? There were no in and outs back then.
Right. They're not safe on this planet. We're too hostile in our own nature, so they're missing out on incredible fast food. They're missing out.
Exactly.
I mean, they could probably get some of the television and, you know, TV shows and stuff. They probably got Breaking Bad, I would assume. But
Do you think they're watching Breaking Bad out there?
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Well, then I hope they're caught up on Better Call Saul as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I digress. Let's do a quick recap. You got 6 Nazca Lines, 5 the Egyptian pyramids, 4 Stonehenge, and 2 Easter Island. These next 3 are not on the tip of the tongue of most people, but you being who you are, maybe you'll know these.
Are there any more pyramids on this list?
No, but I think there are ancient sites that might have had pyramids like on them, perhaps? So let's talk about that one. Number 3 is located in Mexico.
Number 3 is in Mexico. Yeah, this one is escaping me.
All right, well, in my perfect Spanish, I will try to correctly pronounce this. Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan. Yes, there it is.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
See, you did know it. It's located 25 miles northeast of modern-day Mexico City. This is number 3 on the list. It was built between 100 BC and 250 CE. Teotihuacan, or whatever the word Rob said, it means
Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan.
Yeah, close enough.
I've lost every Spanish-speaking listener in the last 2 minutes. Okay, well, that translates to City of the Gods. It's a sprawling ancient city in Mexico that's best known for its pyramidal temples and astronomical alignments. At its zenith, perhaps in the first half of the first millennium, Teotihuacan was the largest city in the Americas with a population of 125,000 or more. So it used to be a hopping place. Scientists suspect that over the centuries, a mix of cultures, including Maya, Zapotec, and Mixtec, built the city that could house more than 100,000 people. With its murals, tools, transportation system, and evidence of advanced agricultural practices, Teotihuacan is often considered much more technologically developed than should have been possible in pre-Aztec Mexico. By far the most well-known of Teotihuacan's buildings is the massive Pyramid of the Sun. It is one of the largest such constructions in the Western Hemisphere, and the pyramid's curious alignment is is believed to be based on calendrical cycles. So what do you know about this place?
Yeah, there's the Pyramid of the Sun, Pyramid of the Moon. It's got a nice plaza to it, from what I remember. Yeah, nice place.
Looking up the Pyramid of the Sun. Yeah, so it's not nearly as tall as the pyramids of Giza, and they look different, but they're also more kind of steppy. They got stairs on them. Pyramids do not have stairs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the Pyramid of Giza does not have stairs.
Right.
So this city, Teotihuacan, may have lasted until sometime between the 7th and 8th centuries, but its major monuments were sacked and systematically burned. Around 550 CE, its collapse might be related to the extreme weather events of that time. Because the fate of the city remains a mystery, many turn to alien-related theories to explain it. And our friends at the Ancient Aliens TV series on History Channel, they suggest that the structures in Teotihuacan involve advanced mathematical principles and, like the pyramids of Giza, may be built to correspond with space formations. Lastly, recent digs at Teotihuacan revealed stories of liquid mercury, mesa in the walls, and golden orbs containing unrecognizable substances, all bizarre enough to prompt inquiries about the real builders of Teotihuacan, which is aliens, I'm going to say.
Yeah. What do you need all that mercury for? I don't know. But maybe aliens do. It's not something you want to really be handling at all.
You don't think so, huh? So you're not handling mercury on a regular basis?
We know what happens. Like, the hat makers, they did not fare well in the 1800s and stuff before that. So, yeah, I'm not touching mercury at all.
Okay, so what you're saying is I should reconsider my morning mercury consumption.
I would cut back. Just
cut back, okay. Cut back en route to cutting it off completely, but I need to gradually do it so as to not. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Good advice.
I don't think you can quit mercury cold turkey, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah. Let's sidebar for a minute. The Greys. You believe in the Greys, yeah?
Sure, yeah.
They're one of the more researched and widely believed species of alien.
Yeah.
Do you think the Greys are eating food? What do they eat?
There are some that suggest that they eat like a paste. Close encounter witnesses, abduction witnesses, that claim that aliens told them that they eat a paste or something like that.
Now, why are they sharing their diets with their abductees?
They don't really, divulge a lot of information. And like every time an abductee asks, or even just like, a friendly kind of close encounter, people ask where they're from, they get vague answers most of the time. Like they're just like, oh, we're from way far away, or we're from over that way. Just like really, and I get it. Like we're a warfaring species. You don't want us knowing where you live because, by God, if we develop the technology, and I don't think we're too far off, we'll show up at your doorstep. It's gonna happen. There's no stopping it. But
yeah, matter of time.
Yeah, exactly. One of the details that sticks out when it comes to like Whitley Strieber, who's one of the best known alien abductees.
Communion.
Yeah, in the first room, in the first experience that you read about in his book Communion, he talks about the room being dirty, just like extremely dirty, and like I think he postulates that the room is filled with like alien feces, but it's like dust. So they
Yum.
They shit dust, basically.
Well, the Grey, that might be the most fascinating thing I've heard about the Greys to date.
Right?
I read Communion, but I don't remember that part.
It's the weird detail of like, yeah, the room was very dirty. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah. All right, well, now we're really sidebarring. I have to ask you, and then we'll move on. Do you think a time is coming soonish, and I'll let you define soonish, where aliens are on Earth and it's like a widely known and accepted thing? Think the day the Earth stood still. Like, this isn't like someone coming out of the woodwork saying, I was abducted by aliens. This is aliens making themselves known, landing somewhere, nationally, internationally televised, whatever. Do you think that's going to happen someday?
No. Never. Never.
Is it because of what you said earlier?
Yeah,
Warfaring
exactly.
species?
Yeah. I don't think we'll be seeing aliens land anytime soon. And it's just not going to end well. Not going to end well at all.
For anybody.
Yeah, even if you believe like the odd stories of people coming forward and saying, hey, we've got aliens, the government has aliens, housed somewhere. Yeah, it's not going to end well either way.
Yeah.
Probably for us, because you got to think they've got some pretty advanced tech on those things.
They might have advanced technology, but there's still shit and dust everywhere. So they land on Earth, and really, the shit dust might be what gets us more than their weapons.
Right.
Because the dust floats.
Yeah, dust does float. And
Human shit will just sit in one spot, but the dust shit will just float all over the place and sneezing, and it's a slow killer.
In reality, in telling the audience this, next time I want you to think about the dust that you haven't cleaned in so long. That could be alien shit.
That could be alien shit.
You might want to clean it up.
I should probably stop eating that with my morning mercury as well.
Exactly.
But then again, maybe not.
Mary redeemed a $50,000 cash prize playing Chumba Casino online.
I was only playing for fun, so winning was a dream come true.
Chumba Casino is America's favorite free online social casino. You too could have the chance to win life-changing cash prizes. Absolutely anybody could be like Mary. Be like Mary. Log on to ChumbaCasino.com and play for free now. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. The voice in the preceding commercial was not the actual voice of the winner. Mary redeemed a $50,000 cash prize playing Chumba Casino online.
I was only playing for fun, so winning was a dream come true.
Chumba Casino is America's favorite free online social casino. You too could have the chance to win life-changing cash prizes. Absolutely anybody could be like Mary. Be like Mary. Log on to ChumbaCasino.com and play for free now. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. The voice in the preceding commercial was not the actual voice of the winner. Mary redeemed a $50,000 cash prize playing Chumba Casino online.
I was only playing for fun, so winning was a dream come true.
Chumba Casino is America's favorite free online social casino. You too could have the chance to win life-changing cash prizes. Absolutely anybody could be like Mary. Be like Mary. Log on to ChumbaCasino.com and play for free now. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. The voice in the preceding commercial was not the actual voice of the winner.
All right, you just need 2 left. We're going to save number 1, so let's do number 7. This is in Peru. It's our second site in Peru. Cusco, in fact.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Do you remember the name?
No, but I know.
It's in Cusco. This is the structure in Cusco.
Right.
Yeah.
Chichen Itza? Is that in? No, dang it. No.
I mean, it might be there, but it's not. Yeah.
Right, no, I'm not sure.
This is the Sacsayhuaman.
Sacsayhuaman, yes.
Sacsayhuaman.
Yes.
That's like, I don't got a good joke. All right, it's number 7. It's in Peru. Shout out to our Peruvian listeners. This is built in the 15th century. I think it's the most recent thing on this list.
Probably, yeah.
It's outside the old Inca capital of Cusco. A fortress called Sacsayhuaman rests in the Peruvian Andes. The complex was built by the Inca in the 15th century, particularly under Pachacuti and successors. Built from enormous stones that have been chiseled and stacked together like a jigsaw puzzle, some say Sacsayhuaman could be the work of an ancient civilization that had a little help from interstellar friends. The 1,000-year-old interlocking fortress walls are made of rocks that weigh as much as 360 tons each.
Yeah.
So before this, the largest stones we talked about were 80 tons. I think that was Easter Island. This is 360 tons each. And those stones were carried more than 20 miles before being lifted and fit into place with laser-like precision.
Yeah.
I don't know. All that together makes me pause. I don't know. There's probably explanations, but
the blocks that they have out there and the way that they fit together is kind of amazing. Like, if I remember correctly, in the episodes that I did watch, they're fit so tightly together that you can't stick a piece of paper through it. So they're like, it's good construction,
perfectly aligned. And so it says the Incas who built this, they were actually advanced and talented craftsmen, and similar fortresses have been found around the world and even near this one. So safe to say, aliens probably shouldn't be given credit for this. That's what National Geographic says. But I want to read one more thing. Spanish chronicler Pedro Ciza de Leon wrote in 1553, Pachacuti ordered 20,000 men sent in from the provinces, and that 4,000 of them quarried and cut the stones. 6,000 hauled them with great cables of leather and hemp. The others dug the dig and laid the foundations, while still others cut poles and beams for the timbers. So that's basically someone from that time period recording how this was constructed by people.
That's impressive.
And today, only the stones that were too large to be easily removed remain at the site. So yeah, that's Sacsayhuaman at number 7.
The engineering in those blocks is really impressive.
Do you think they had calculators to do the math equations?
Maybe. I don't know what the IKEA instructions were on that one, but clearly they were advanced enough. They didn't really need them. So
yep.
You kind of got to wonder, is the ancient calculator basically someone in the sand using like a stick and like marking out notches and measuring things like...
I mean, probably pretty close to that. Or they had so many workers and slaves dying during construction of these things that they could just lay out the dead bodies to do their calculations. All right, I need 5 plus 7. Put 5 dead men on top, 7 dead women on bottom. Count them up. I don't know, but just trying to make the point that a lot of people died during these construction of this shit. And think of all the dust they're breathing in, too, from moving these rocks. And again, could be alien shit.
Could be alien shit. Again, question every speck of dust in your home. Could be alien shit.
Exactly. Tiny aliens shitting on your bookshelf and then running away. We don't know.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give you number 1 because I don't think you'll guess it. Do you recall, this was big in the 70s, the face of Mars? Or the face on Mars, sorry.
Uh-huh. Yeah. They went with that for number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't love this number 1.
I'm turning heel on this list right here, right now. This is blasphemy. Are you kidding me right now?
This is National Geographic, Rob. You can't do that. You're telling me you know more than National Geographic?
Yeah, because all you need to do is take a better picture of that thing and you realize it's not a face. It's just literally how the sun was hitting it at the time.
You are going to look so foolish here in a minute when I prove without question that this is the work of alien intervention.
Okay, prove it to me.
You watch this. All right, the face on Mars, number 1. Look it up, people, if you haven't seen a picture. It was spotted by the Viking 1 orbiter in 1976. This so-called face is nearly 2 miles long and in a region called Cydonia, which separates the smooth plains of the Martian north from the more cratered terrain in the south. Now, at the time, again, this is 1976, scientists dismissed the face as shadow play. Sounds like our friend Rob here. But over the decades, it has become a favorite among those who suspect aliens with a penchant for building things have been visiting the solar system. Some commentators, most notably Richard C. Hoagland, listener of the show, believe the face on Mars to be evidence of a long-lost Martian civilization, along with other features they believe are present, such as apparent pyramids, which they argue are part of a ruined city. Now, I don't actually believe this, but I do love in an alternate universe where there is ancient pyramids and shit that we find on Mars. Like, can you imagine how badass that would be to find that?
It would be quite impressive. But the thing about Mars is that since the 1800s, when the first telescopes looked up at Mars, people have been speculating that there have been ancient cities on Mars ever since. And
there's nothing there.
No, there's nothing there. I think we also need to acknowledge the fact that because of this image and because of the area that it was, it inspired Muse to write the song Knights of Cydonia, which you may thank them for that, you may not. That's totally your choice, and you can make it.
Fair.
We can't forget the one X-Files episode 2 in which there was a NASA employee who was plagued by the face on Mars. That is one of the worst episodes of the X-Files ever.
Oh, God. You're coming out hot tonight.
Face on Mars. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I do think it's ridiculous that a non-Earth thing is on this list of the top 7 things on Earth. Seems like cheating.
I remember a time when National Geographic was a respectable reporting outfit. They have lost all goodwill with me.
Wow. All right, you heard it here first. Rob Kristoffersen of the Our Strange Skies podcast says National Geographic, lump them in with Fox News and every other trash rag out there. They're no longer credible.
No.
Well, this picture of the face on Mars, it's interesting, but I think most would agree. In fact, it says here in 2001, NASA's Mars Global Surveyor took another good look at the same face on Mars using a much higher resolution camera and saw ... no face.
Yeah.
Turns out what had appeared to be a face is just another boring old Martian mesa, kind of like the landforms that litter the U.S. Southwest. So again, one more time, I don't know why this is number 1. Should not be number 1, but it is.
We are a species obsessed with our own downfall, so much to the point where we want to make it seem like other people fucked up so bad that they ruined their planet. So naturally, Mars is the next obvious target. And you know what? Every other planet in this solar system is a target. Jupiter, somebody fucked it up. Saturn, somebody fucked it up. Mercury, nobody was living there. Let's be honest. It's too close to the sun. Venus, it's all gassy.
We call that the Dr. Buster of the solar system. But I have to say, the thing about looking for lost civilizations on other planets is eventually we'll probably find one, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, guess what? Humans are going to find their way to probably the moon first, and then Mars, and then we'll destroy those planets over however many millennia or fewer.
The real takeaway in all of this, folks, is that we're the aliens. We're the ones that are going to destroy everything. Yes. Oh!
Fuck.
Didn't see that coming.
That is deep. I'm going to pull us out of the deep end here just to recap this list. This is according to our friends at reputable, credible publication of the year, National Geographic, on which ancient sites are most likely built by aliens. Number 7 is Sacsayhuaman in Peru. This is where they had the 360-ton rocks that were moved 20 miles and placed with laser-like precision.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one's my favorite on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6 is the Nazca Lines, the lines in the desert that are best viewed from the air, from the sky. Number 5 is the Egyptian pyramids. Number 4 is Stonehenge. Number 3 is Teotihuacan in Mexico. This is the city of the gods, they had their own pyramid there. Number 2, Easter Island. And number 1, the face on Mars. There it is. You got it. Do you feel like you put your knowledge to good use tonight?
Yeah, I do. I feel it, and you know what? It has nothing to do with UFOs. It literally has to do with random classes I took in college and random shows that I watched on the Discovery Channel. Like that's literally it. So
hey,
putting it all to use this evening. Also, want to reiterate: National Geographic, hot garbage, just hot garbage.
Probably the last time we used them on this show, maybe. Probably not. But they did give us some good fodder to discuss one of my favorite topics, alien shit. And I hope it was clear to the listeners, and I'm with Rob here, the ancient alien theory, probably not true, but I do leave just the smallest bit of room for who knows? We don't know.
0.1%.
Me and Andrew McKay from Into the Portal, we talked a little bit about this on episode 182, Lost Cities. So you can listen to that if you want more. But Rob, I definitely don't want to end this show without you telling the listeners how they can find more of your shit. And tell us about Our Strange Skies and anything else you want to plug.
Yeah, absolutely. I do talk about alien shit from time to time on the Our Strange Skies podcast. Mostly, I talk about the wildest UFO stories. Have you ever wanted to hear the story of an alien that attempted to carjack two people? I've got stories about that. If you have ever wanted a heartwarming story about a blind girl who met an alien-human hybrid who cured her blindness, I've got you there. If you want the wildest stories imaginable, the Our Strange Skies podcast, you can find it on damn near every podcasting platform, OurStrangeSkies.com. We'll take you everywhere you want to go. I also have a monthly webcomic that I do with my buddy Todd Purse. It's called Welcome UFO People. You can follow along on Twitter at Welcome UFO Peeps and on Instagram at Welcome UFO People. It's fun. We take real life close encounters, UFO cases, and stuff like that, and we turn them into comic book art. So if that interests you, go check that out.
Yeah. I'm going to have links in the show notes to go directly to the places Rob mentioned. Highly recommend everyone check it out. And again, if you want more alien shit on Tennis Podcast, look at episode 66 and 76. Covered alien stuff there as well. Rob, before we go, last thing, give me your hottest hot take on aliens.
Hottest hot take on aliens.
Could be anything.
I think the Greys they're infertile, so they suck. They're the worst alien species on the planet. There you go.
That was hot. That's too hot for me to handle. So if a female gray landed in your bedroom tonight and said, I've been sent here to mate with you, you'd say, I don't believe you, you're infertile.
Exactly. And not only that, after that, I would just turn over and go back to sleep.
No. There's a gray standing in your bedroom. You gotta do something.
No, I really don't. I have just shut it down for good. Greys don't know how to reproduce. They can't do it anymore. They were bad at it. That's the theory, is that they need us for that. So, no, sorry. Get out of my room. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. And then when you're sleeping, they'll just steal your seed anyway. But maybe they'll be gentle enough that you won't even wake up.
If that's not going to work, the only other thing is I'm going to look over and I'm going to say, don't wake me up, and go back to sleep.
You know what's more likely, instead of a female gray showing up in your room saying, I'm here to mate, the female gray, you're going to wake up and look at it and it's going to be holding up an IKEA instruction manual to build some fucking like bar stool or something. And you're like, God damn it.
We don't know how to do this. Please help us. Nobody
And
does.
you're like, I don't fucking know either, man. Nobody on Earth knows how to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to find another planet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got bigger problems.
All right, well, he's Rob Kristoffersen. Listen to the Our Strange Skies podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode 194 of Tennis Podcast. Next week, I'll be back with my friend Alex Johns. We're going to be talking video games, so make sure you check that out. Let me know what you thought of this episode. There is a weekly discussion thread on our subreddit at r/tennispod, and you can let us know your thoughts on this episode. All right, until next time, we appreciate you. And don't let the aliens bite tonight at bed or something. I don't know. I'm tired. Goodbye.
Mary redeemed a $50,000 cash prize playing Chumba Casino online.
I was only playing for fun, so winning was a dream come true.
Chumba Casino is America's favorite free online social casino. You too could have the chance to win life-changing cash prizes. Absolutely anybody could be like Mary. Be like Mary. Log on to ChumbaCasino.com and play for free now. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. The voice in the preceding commercial was not the actual voice of the winner.
You can't get much for $5 these days. Unless you go to Wendy's for a $5 Biggie Bag. Get your choice of double stack, junior bacon cheeseburger, or crispy chicken BLT. Plus 4-piece nugs, fries, and a drink. All for just $5. You got that bag. You got that Biggie Bag. You got that bag. That was smooth, wasn't it? That's how you're gonna feel when you get that Biggie Bag at Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes 4-piece nuggets, small soft drink, and small fry. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.